Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast in association with Boyle Sports, Gorham Park, EJ Menswear, Shamrock Thoroughbreds, Midland Travel and McCafferty's traditional Irish bars.
They're coming to the final fence in the 25 Govs tie stage. Nick Rocket lands in the lead from Velvet Elvis, gone well clear. Up Favori de Shondu and Bushman's Pass, they're well strung out. Nick Rocket on the stand side for win number 10 in the race for Willie Mullins.
Enter our Champ.ie headline competition in association with Midland Travel, where you could win a trip for two to the Cheltenham Festival 2026. For a chance to win, simply subscribe to the Champ.ie podcast on YouTube if you haven't already, and scan the QR code to enter your competition details today. We look forward to discussing your weekly #5cast selections in the comment section below. Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest edition of the Champ.ie Horse Racing Podcast. It's Season 7, Episode 25 in association with Gorham Park, Boyle Sports, EJ Menswear, Shamrock Thoroughbreds, McCafferty's Irish Bars and Midland Travel. And of course, today's show, we will be announcing the lucky winner to the trip to Cheltenham on Gold Cup Day, as well as two more lucky winners. I'm in the company, as always, of Barry Doyle and Niall Tierney of IrishRacing.com. Let's take a look at what's coming up on today's programme for you. So let's take a look at the 5 races this week in our 5 casts: Supreme Novices, the Arkle Chase, the Turners Novices, the Brown Advisory and the Albert Bartlett. Our very special guest later on in the show is going to be Paul Nolan. Let's get a little sneak preview of what's coming from Paul.
Well, they're not too hard to manage anyway, I can promise you that. And I've never seen fellas as happy in my life as when he won in Doncaster. That was really a sort of a day to remember.
Yes, really looking forward to hearing from the Wexford man later on, and he's got a great entries at Cheltenham, and we'll hear plenty more about those later in the show. Right, let's take a look at the opening race then, the Supreme Novices Hurdle, where Nicky Henderson has the favourite in Old Park Star. I personally think Barry's going to take the world of stopping.
Massive fan of this horse, Dave. When he won at Cheltenham, he absolutely bolted up, didn't he, on the new course earlier on the campaign. And what he done at Haydock as well on a sharper track, I thought was really impressive. So I do have respect for the favourite. You know, Nicky's record in the Supreme Novices Hurdle. I think 9 of the last 13 winners of the Supreme, Dave, have either been taken by Nicky Henderson or Willie Mullins. This year, I'm not sure what Willie has, maybe to throw into the mix in the Supreme, but Nicky Henderson definitely has a live one. If you were to ask connections in 7 barrows, you know, when it comes to the Supreme, would it be Active Innocence or Old Park Star lining up in the Supreme as their main hope at the start of the season? I think they would have said Active Innocence, but Old Park Star, he's surprised connections. I think the pace that he's shown. Jerry McGrath on the podcast on the Road to Cheltenham Challenge did mention that Old Park Star may be more in the mould of a Shishkin than the likes of Altio or maybe our Constitution Hill. So he's definitely a strong stay in 2-miler. And I think that's what you need. There's going to be a big field, I think, in the Supreme itself this season, Dave. Looking at the Irish Challenge, El Kairos, Talk the Talk, and Leader Dallier, I'd be against all 3 of them. I think the English definitely have a stronger hand this season. The one I like is Sober Glory at a bigger price. Look, he's 12-1 in the market at the moment. Monstrous performance, Dave, on the clock at Newbury, I think it's fair to say, albeit the ground was really testing on that occasion. But he comes out top in terms of Racing Post time figures. His bumper form from last season is rock solid. Won the listed bumper at Newbury. You know, he's the most experienced in the lineup as well over hurdles. Even though it's been in low-key events, he's had the 4 runs over hurdles. They know how to ride the horse. Now, he'll be up there on the pace, which I think in the Supreme is definitely a big positive, as will Harry Cobden on his back. So I think there's lots of positives with Sober Glory. He's still possibly going in under the radar for Philip Hobbs, who's taken the race in the past. And if you look at the form at Newbury as well, 27-length winner to Cadastral, who's achieved the rating of 126 in his short career. But if you look at, I suppose, his bumper form, he beat Talk the Talk by 3 lengths in a Newbury bumper. So maybe a small little bit of collateral form there with the Irish. And I just like the look of Sober Glory. I think he'll be on the front end. The softer the ground, probably the better, albeit he's proven on good to soft ground as well. He strikes me as the sort of horse, Dave, that, you know, if he's banged there turning in, he will absolutely devour the hill. I just like his profile at 12-1 in the novice races, Dave. I think he's the best each way play that I can see in terms of value. Ticks a lot of boxes. He has the experience, and I think he's still being underestimated. But I have respect for the favoured talk the talk. I worry about his jumping. I worry about Kairos' jumping as well. And leader Dallier, I don't think this year, doesn't strike me, Dave, that Willie Mullins has a real top contender for the Supreme Novices Hurdle in race number 1. Interesting, Nicky Henderson or Willie Mullins, 9 of the last 13 trained winners of the Supreme have either come from Seven Barrels or Close Sutton. But this year, I think he could take on Willie Mullins in this race.
Niall, El Kairos, Barry has mentioned about his jumping, but there's one thing for sure. If this horse got his jumping right, would he be a serious contender in the Supreme, firstly? And secondly, what do you like in it?
No, I'm an El Kairos fan myself. I think he's a Ferrari, to be honest now. I don't think too many horses have ever shortened for a Supreme after falling in a race. So that kind of just shows you the impression that he gave people at Christmas. I was watching it myself, and I think you're kind of there going like, what have we just watched there? Like the way he just bolted up in the straight, like it was like something that just clicked in him. But look, he was well touted. He was the top lot from that Maxwell dispersal sale, and I don't think Gordon Elliott's ever said that he's lost too much sleep before a maiden hurdle before. And in Thurles, the last day, Jack Kennedy came out and said, look, I got it wrong. I think they know now what to do with this horse, and it's just sit there patiently, jump the last and then go. That's when you make your move. Don't let this fella out in front on his own. And sure, there's plenty of pace in the race already. The likes of an Old Park Star, like they like to dominate from the front. So if something can give him a lead into a race, I think it would help him no end. But he left a telling impression on me anyways. I thought he was absolutely superb in Leopardstown. I know he fell and all, but it's a very good Supreme. Like, I mean, like, yeah, you're looking at it. No Willie Mullins horse is under 10-1, and I'd say Mighty Park might be one for the Turners and Leader Dallier. Like, I mean, he was well stuffed at Christmas by Ballyfadden, although maybe the horses weren't running as well then. But no, it's definitely highly competitive anyways. But I'll be sticking firmly in the El Kairos camp. I just think he has way more pace than anything else. And if he can just get over that last safely, and it'll be push button stuff then up the hill.
Yeah, I think you're right. And even though the day he fell in Leopardstown, I have to agree with you, he just came there like an absolute machine. And I even said it to Barry, I think, after the race, I said, this is a real talented horse. That is the Supreme, lads. Niall, going to come to you first on the Arkle. Is it a 2-horse race if we get the match race that we're expecting?
Yeah, it is. I do think it is a 2-horse race. I think you'll see they won't be at the same position at first as they would be the last, though. I think Kobek de Boards is going to bunny hop out in front, and he'll try and dictate matters, while Lulamba will just be trying to get safely over the first few and let him do his talking at the end. Look, there's been plenty spoken about Kobek de Boards and the preparation that he's had into the race. I was kind of trying to go through the stats there the other day, as these stats are always pointed out in a negative, but I think only 6 horses since 2004 have contested the Arkle off the back of Run. 2 of them have won. I don't think any horse, though, has been anywhere near the caliber of this fella. Like, I mean, he is a Cheltenham Festival winner, and he was ultra impressive in Navan. I think there's been clips of him kind of schooling in the likes of Punchestown, and we saw that he worked the other day in Ferryhouse. So they'll have done plenty of preparation with him. Lulamba, though, he just doesn't really strike me as a 2-miler. It's kind of the same as Romeo Coolio. If that Turner's Novice Chase was there, it would be a brilliant race between them, because definitely 2.5 miles is their trip more than the 2 miles. Like, it's a lively, fast affair. And we saw last year with Majborough, like, he was up on the front end and it looked like he was going to scamper clear, but obviously his jumping let him down in the end. But I just think if Kobek de Boards can kind of go out in front and get into a rhythm, like, I mean, I haven't seen a horse go by him yet when he's been out in front like that. So no, I'm in his camp. It's definitely a 2-horse race, but I think Kobek de Boards will just have enough speed on the day. Look, you can worry about the preparation, but as I said, I don't think there's been a horse like him with that sort of preparation. So it's kind of hard to kind of put a comparison onto it. So I think he'll be fine. Look, he's trained by Willie Mullins. He'll have plenty of work done, and he'll have Paul Townend on his back. So I'd have no worries in that regards, and confidence seems to be high. So he'll be my pick.
Right, Romeo Coolio, Barry is also very much in contention in this year's Arkle Chase.
Certainly is, Dave. Look, I give him an each-way chance. Look, if we have the 8 runners in here, I think the right race for him, Dave, probably is the 2.5 miles at Ferryhouse. He has the grade 1s in the bank, but I'd be with Niall in terms of win purposes here. Kobek de Boar, I think an aggressive ride. Willie Mullins sending this horse to the Arkle Chase after just 1 run over fences. I think it's a tip in itself, Dave. I was wondering maybe would they reroute, maybe the Champion Hurdle looks open after an interrupted campaign. Would they perhaps maybe, think about the Champion Hurdle, but they're staying over fences. His run at Navan, I thought, as the race developed, Dave, early doors, they went, pretty slow, which wouldn't have suited Copic de Boer. But I think as the race developed, the harder they went, the better he was, the better he jumped. And I think the better the race and, the better he's going to be. If you're looking at Lalamba, I thought, he was a little bit sketchy at 1 or 2 in that game spirit. What had he beaten over fences leading up to Newbury? That'd be a question mark for me. Looking at the Triumph form versus the Supreme form from last season, looking at the Supreme form, I mean, Dave, Romeo Cudio, Salvador Mundi Aranci, they've all won grade 1s afterwards. So that's definitely a positive in terms of that overall Supreme form. And Tutti Quanti ran as Supreme last season. He's absolutely bolted up as well at Newbury in that competitive handicap. So I think that the Supreme form from last season definitely looks stronger than the Triumph form. Don't forget he was mugged by 100-1 shot last season in the Triumph Lalamba and the 5-year-old record. What have we got? Only 3 5-year-old winners in the last 26 years in the Arkle chase. Willie Mullins, he's the man to follow in the Arkle. 6 wins in the race in the last 11 campaigns. There's juice definitely still in his price, and I'm with Niall. I think Copic de Boer's a bold show is pending or waiting, should we say?
Yeah. Well, I've always in the Lalamba fan or in the camp all year. I'm going to stick with Lalamba as well for the Arkle chase. Right, we're going to head into our first ad break, and right after this, we are going to hear from our very special guest, Paul Nolan.
Midland Travel in Tullamore have been providing a full range of horse racing packages for over 20 years, catering for all types of budgets. And they're off. Stephen and the team at Midland Travel can help you realise your sporting travel dreams. Midland Travel are the only company in Ireland that runs coach and ferry packages from both Manchester United and Liverpool. Check out midlandtravel.ie or contact 057 932 6777 for more information.
Yes, we're on the eve of the Cheltenham Festival, and one man that knows what it takes to train a Cheltenham Festival winner. Another winner at the festival last season, Paul, the Wexford View. Let's start with the Devil You Know. Really smart novice hurdler, and one that will be flying the flag for the Lowland stable at Cheltenham.
Yeah, hopefully, Barry, that we're very pleased with him. If Cheltenham was tomorrow, I wouldn't be disappointed. He's in good form. Hopefully, we can keep him that way. And he deserves to take his chance. He'll more than likely run in the Albert Bartlett. It'd be very hard to step him back in trip over the way he travelled and handled the distance the last day. Albeit that you'd love some of the better horses to stick to the Supreme and the Turners, but we can only do what's best for our own lad, and I think that that the 3 miles he seems to be that bit better over 3 miles. I think.
Obviously, won his maiden hurdle at Gorham Park. That form looks strong with Skylight Hustle winning a grade 1, and the passing wife has not let the form down either.
No, and on the basis of it, Gordon sort of publicly said as well that the Skylight Hustle could improve an awful lot from the run, and I'd say Gavin thinks a lot of the passing wife as well. So we were happy enough then, once they went along and improved, that we'd seem to, when we went to Doncaster, we were probably impressive as a bit strong, but he was a very good winner in Doncaster. And I just loved the way he settled and jumped, and he saw out the trips very well. I thought that coming to the last, when Sean went a couple of lengths up, he gave him one little smack behind the saddle, and I thought he even quickened up again going to the line. And that's I always loved the way a horse hits a line, and I think that he seemed to stay very well.
Were you surprised how well he done it on today, Paul?
Probably was. I was getting a bit concerned at one stage when he dropped back to last with a circuit to go. There was never a big distance between first to last in it, and had gone at a reasonable pace in it. And I was looking at the race with Ian Hammond, and Ian had even commented on it. He said they're going a fair clip here. He says I think they'll come back to him, and they duly did. But I think that it was I'd say a race ran at a reasonable pace, and I was just very happy the way he hit the line, Barry.
He seems to have a nice, touch of class as well. Obviously, to win his maiden over 2 miles, and obviously his proven stamina here. What do you think are this horse's biggest strengths? And don't say his owners are from County Tipperary.
Well, they're not too hard to manage anyway, I can promise you that. And I've never seen fellas as happy in my life as when he won in Doncaster. That was really a sort of a day to remember. But the lads are delighted to be to be involved with him, and there's 2 of them in the syndicate there that he's their very first horse that they've been involved in, and they're extremely happy that they're getting such a run. He's won 2 races. It's not like that he's around for, you know what I mean, but he's after giving them a couple of very good days out, and even in his bumper runs he was very consistent, albeit he was second 3 times, but he came up against sort of half decent bumper horses there when he ran, and he just didn't manage to win his bumper, and then we just said we'd go hurdling with him when he came back after his break and a few little operations on his sinuses, and he seems to be in good health at the moment. Please God, touch wood, we'll keep him that way. There's no sign of any of that coming back. You never know one day to the next what might happen, but so far he's in good shape, Barry.
How good do you think he could end up being?
Sure, I don't know. Like, I mean, he is a 7-year-old, so he's not a spring chicken, and that's why maybe some people might sort of be, wary of the Albert Bartlett. It might be a bit hard on novices, but I think that once his age is going to help him a little bit, that he should be sort of strong enough to deal with it. And as I said, I just thought that the way he hit the line the last day over the tree, it'd be a big call to drop him back in trip.
That was a big day for the yard. Feet of a Dancer as well. That was a really good performance, and she's entries at Cheltenham as well.
Yeah, she's entered in the stairs. She's entered in the mare's hurdle, and she's entered in the Coral. She's off a mark of 144. In the stairs, I suppose, which would be the 3 miles, I think is her best trip. But even with the £7 allowance, she'd be wrong with a good few horses in it. But I think she is improving, Barry. She's just seems to be holding her condition better, and she's training better. And we're just having a fair, clear run at her, and she's in right form at the moment. I think she's a mare that will improve maybe again. The stairs is probably a race that can throw up surprising results, but still, I think in the last few years, that very good horses have still won it, and Gordon sort of he keeps Tia Hoopo especially for it, and even though he was beaten last year in it, he's still short price favourite probably for it, and my mare would have to improve an awful lot to beat him as well. He's a consistent performer as well, and if the ground came up soft, I nearly think that you have to take your chance if the top weight's declared in the Coral. But then again, we have to keep it open. But I would myself personally definitely prefer, I think, to run her in the stairs other than the mare's race. The stairs race is 300,000 plus, the mare's race is 100,000 plus. And if you were going to be placed, you might as well be placed with more prize money.
Last year's Kim Muir winner, Daddy Present, would he be on the boat from Wexford?
Yeah, he will. He's starting to look better in himself. His runs this season compared to his runs last season before the Kim Muir, Barry, haven't been good. But he just seems to be coming to himself in the since Leopardstown. But I mean, it's not ideal going to Cheltenham on the back of a pull up and on the back of an ordinary probably run in Leopardstown before that again. I think the ground would be an awful help to him being that bit better. But he'll have to keep improving now in the few weeks we have left. But I think he sort of seems in better form in himself, and we know he handles the track, and you'd never know. But ideally, you'd prefer to be going in on the back of better runs.
Looking at the other entries early on in the week, Harwa, Juvenile, British handicapper today has given him 132. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we haven't got the horse that long. He ran against the older horses there, getting the 4-year-old allowance. Looked like he was going to be third in it, and I think they sort of stopped in front, and he ended up winning it. I think the horse of Gardens that he beat 7 or 8 lengths was rated 117 or 18 or somewhere along there, but he, certainly off of 132. I don't think he's missed them. They look to be sort of very attractive horses in that probably haven't even won a race yet, and it'll probably be very hard for our fella to give those horses weight.
The National Hunt Chase, you've a couple entered there.
Yeah, Iceberg Theory. I think that he stays real well. His last win in Cork, he looked like he was going to be third or fourth at best turning in, and he just picked up well and stayed at it well to the line. And I just, in the manner of the way he hit the line, we sort of allowed that the further this horse goes, the better he'll be. And we just sort of said we'd put him away for a little while and give him that little bit of a break, and hopefully he seems in good nick, and I think he stay well, and he deserves to take his chance in it.
What chance Release the Beast in the Grand Annual?
Yeah, Release the Beast was probably a shade unlucky in Leopardstown. Probably ran too keen as well, and I was actually surprised that he finished so well after being so keen. So I think dropping it back to the Grand Annual trip, hopefully he'll travel and jump well. He still wouldn't have an enormous amount of experience, but he seems to have loads of scope over a jump, and I think if he can settle and jump well, he could run a very nice race.
HMS Seahorse, is he likely to go?
Yeah, HMS Seahorse will go and take his chance as well. Again, he was away. He went to the Curragh there today, and we're very pleased with him. That's his second piece of work on grass now, since he got a bit of an injury in Galway on his last run, when he was just unlucky to unseat rider, and he was loose. He ran around loose, but he had a good break, and he seems in right form. And again, he's a horse that ran very well in the Boodles as a 4-year-old, and if he can get just into a bit of a rhythm jumping and get a little bit of light, I think that it's not all over for HMS Seahorse yet. He's not that old, and again, I think if the softer the ground, the better chance he'd have.
You are very welcome back, and wonderful to hear from Paul Nolan, and the very best of luck to Paul and the team over at the Cotswolds over the couple of days with their entries. Barry, it's been a great couple of weeks since we had our competition, of course, to give away in association with Midland Travel. The trip for two to Cheltenham, of course, on Gold Cup Day. You have the winner, and as well as that, you've got 2 other prizes to announce.
Yeah, we're going to leave the other prizes until next week, because this is a big enough prize, Dave, in its own right, to be fair. So continue to put your 5-cast selections down below. The shortlist, Dave. We've 5 people on the shortlist, and we've kind of gone around the grounds, or around the provinces, if you like, Dave. Fintan Finnegan, you have a chance later on in the show. We're going to announce the winner at the back end of the show, Dave, but he's in the draw from County Galway, Fintan Finnegan. Josh Myton from Wexford, you're in the draw. Pádraig Kelly from Monaskal, County Kerry, Dave. Tom Crean Country, he's in the draw as well. Tiernan Donoghue, we're going up to Ulster, County Tyrone, you're in the draw. And Richard Hallahan from County Cork, you're in the draw as well. So 5, just to run down through the names again: Fintan Finnegan, Josh Myton, Pádraig Kelly, Tiernan Donoghue, and Richard Hallahan, all in the draw, Dave, for a trip, to win a trip, thanks to Midland Travel, to the Cheltenham Festival. Stay tuned. Back end of the show, we'll announce that winner.
Lovely, we'll announce that. Right, we'll move on. Niall, we're going to come to you on our next race, give you your opportunity to give us your thoughts on the Turner's Novices Hurdle. That's on Wednesday, of course, over the 2 mile 5.
Yeah, no, once again, another kind of cracker of a race, really. Favourite at the minute is Mighty Park, and I suppose most people probably haven't seen enough of them to go at the 7-2 price that's there. You've No Drama Descend, then a second favourite. I'm a big Ballyfad fan myself. Just kind of think he's the next Don Kozak, like just doesn't know when he's betting. Any trip for him will be perfect. It's kind of amazing that he's stayed at 2 miles for so long and been so competitive. Just a big massive horse. And, Jigginstown, they like to buy them staying chasers. And I think this is exactly what this fella is. Look, in his bumpers, he just showed a never say die attitude and just toughed it out. And in Leopardstown then at Christmas, he showed plenty of boot that I don't think anyone thought he had. And he was a 9-length winner that day. And then you go to Leopardstown then for the Grade 1 novice hurdle, and you think 2 out, all right, this fella's going to finish the back of the telly. But no, sticks his neck out, jumps perfectly. So I think a step up and trip is going to be absolutely ideal for him. Really big fan of the horse. I suppose the talk all through the season was about no drama this end, and it's kind of all gone a bit quiet about him. I seen that he did a workout yesterday in Kempton, but he'd have a serious chance as well. I suppose just with the Mighty Park thing, we're probably going off to Willie Mullen's comments. He referenced Faheen-like performance in Ferryhouse the last day, and he was extremely impressive. But you'd probably just worry a small bit about backing a horse. Like, there's plenty of talk about Copeck de Boards and his preparation into the Arkle, but sure, this fella, we've only seen him once, although he is a point winner. Like, we've only seen him under rules once with us. So no, I'm in the Ballyfad camp. I know Barry's a big fan of him as well, but I love him really. Just this attitude that he has, it'll be perfect around Cheltenham, and I can just kind of see him quickening off a bend. And yeah, once again, just catch me if you can stuff.
Yeah, it's a fascinating race, but Ballyfad certainly is ticking a lot of boxes for many, Barry.
I thought of the novice races, Dave, this probably looked the most competitive, even more competitive than the Supreme and the Albert Bartlett. Look, you could make a case for plenty in here, no drama. And I actually thought this horse would be a better horse on softer ground. No drama to send. Mighty Park, he was really impressive, but how do you read the form? Skylight Hustle, he was good. That maiden at Gorham Park, of course, with the Thedevilukno, that looks pretty good. The Passing Wife was in there as well. So that form looks strong. And I think the race could actually be run to suit Skylight Hustle. Seems to be plenty of pace on here with the likes of I'll Sort That for the Queelies, Mighty Park, and even Ballyfad, who'll be up there on the best. But I just love the attitude of Ballyfad. I think that could come to the fore here. I think he'll absolutely love the hill. He never knows when he's beaten. In his bumpers, as Niall did say, he showed a terrific attitude. Over 2 miles at Christmas, I thought that trip might be plenty short for him, but he jumped particularly well on that occasion and seemed to bounce off the nicer ground at Christmas. That was an interesting comment from Gordon Elliott. I thought after his Punchestown bumper win, where he was headed and he showed a good attitude to get back up. But Gordon mentioned the ground. I mean, could this horse actually? You think Gigginstown, Gordon Elliott, that soft ground, heavy ground is going to be absolutely no issue. Now, it was heavy ground at Christmas, as we know, but he did mention that. Did this horse really pick up on that ground at Punchestown in his bumper? So I just wonder on a little bit of nicer ground. I think we've a mil a day due, or 10 mil over the next 10 days, if you're looking at the long-term forecast. So the ground, since our last podcast, David, we did say that the weather or that the rain didn't look to be stopping, but it looks to my eye now that the ground could be drying out. I think it's gone odds on that we'll have good to soft ground on the first day of the festival itself. So Ballyfad up to 2 miles. We saw he can cope in Grade 1 company. Up to 2 miles, 5 on the at Cheltenham. I think up a hill is going to be exactly what he needs on a little bit of nicer ground. I think it'll be a better horse. Ballyfad, 5-year-olds, not too many of them have actually won the Turners, Dave, but I give him a big chance at his price. He's 7-1 each way. He'd be the each way play, but it is a competitive race, Dave. You could make a case for plenty. Ballyfad for Gordon Elliott for me. I'll be with Niall in the Turners.
Yes, and then we're going to move on to our next race, which is, of course, the Brown Advisory. That also is on the Wednesday. And it always takes a bit of winning this over the 3 miles and 1 furlong. And Niall, what have you come down on in this one?
Oscar's brother is the one that I've firmly stuck with now. Look, I love a good family story when it comes to anything got to do with Cheltenham. And I mean, look, Conor King, former 2-time champion conditional jockey. I just think the fact that him and Daniel King, like the relationship, brothers and all that kind of thing. No, this horse is definitely improving. He's an improving type, and he looks to be a Grand National type in future. I don't think now when he was beaten in his beginner's chase by Western Foal, you would have thought that he'd have gone on and shown the improvement that he has. But he's been recently bought by JP McManus, and I thought he was superb in Navan. Just goes out in front and he jumps seriously well. I kind of think that the Brown Advisory in the last few years is kind of suiting that kind of Grand National type. I mean, Lecky Watson has been well touted and well tipped for the National this year, and he was a good winner of it last year as well. So I just kind of think you need that really, really staying profile for the race. And Oscar's brother fits the bill here, definitely, for me. Just constantly improving, and it's so key in these sort of races to jump well, and he seems to lock onto a fence and kind of saying, here, where's the next one? As opposed to the likes of Ballyburn last year, you were kind of saying every time he got into a fence, oh no. But no, he's just one that stuck out for me, and he's still a decent price as well for the race, which is interesting enough. I think people might think that he's bypassing it, but I think there's no reason to skip it, really. It's an open enough race after Final Demand blew up in Leopardstown the last day, and they probably have Kate Doughty in the race as well. But this fella's definitely worth his chance in the race, I feel, and he'd definitely be one for a Grand National in a couple of years as well.
Yeah, it's a fascinating race. And of course, Barry, 12 months ago, Lecky Watson did the business, and there was a great success by Lecky Watson. What's your idea of the 2026 winner of the Brown Advisory?
It's a race, Dave, I haven't had bad luck in actually in recent years. The real whacker was on his in his camp as well, heading into the Brown Advisory, Lecky Watson. But I think this year, Dave, the race very much to me, it's not a betting race at the moment. I think you have to wait until the day to see the market confidence around Final Demand. I mean, I'd rather back him at 9-4 than 7-2 now. Looking on the morning of the race itself, Dave, if the market, we saw with Gaelic Warrior in the past, he disappointed at the Dublin Racing Festival, backed off the boards when it came to the festival itself. I think, he's the potential to be the real superstar in this race. His performance at Navan at the start of the season, if you were to say that you get 7-2 about Final Demand for a Brown Advisory 2 weeks before the festival, I mean, you would have snapped. You would have snapped anyone's hand off for 7-2. His performance was brilliant that day. He was brilliant with his jumping. People are talking about the hill and, will this horse get up the hill? He didn't seem to come up the hill last season. I just thought the race wasn't run to suit of 2.5 miles. I think up to 3 miles, this is the first time this horse is going to get a look at 3 miles over a fence. If he's on song and the market confidence on the day is strong, I'd be with Final Demand. At the moment, Dave, I'm going to hold fire because I think the whole race revolves around him. He could easily be, a stone better than everything else in the race here if he turns up and gives his running. The Big Westerner, I think, is ground dependent. I'd swear for her until I saw more rain. Kate Doughty probably didn't get the credit he deserved for his win the last time. Wendigo, I don't think is going to be good enough. Western Fold, he's good form, to be fair, and on a nicer ground, you give him a chance. Romeo Coolio won't line up. Oscar's brother, as Niall said, I mean, Final Demand, if he rocks up and gives his best running here, he has to be the one to beat. For 5-cast purposes at the moment, I'm going to just about stick with him, but I'll be holding fire until the day itself. And I think he'll bounce back, I have to say. I keep the faith, Final Demand, Dave.
Yeah, I'd be very much in agreement with you. I think he's going to bounce back as well, and we'll see a different horse at Cheltenham. Right, we're going to take a look at one more race. That's the Albert Bartlett, but that is to come after our next ad break.
McCafferty's traditional Irish bars are located across Ireland, the UK, Spain and the United Arab Emirates. McCafferty's bars provide the perfect backdrop and atmosphere to watch all horse racing and sports events, serving traditional Irish food and music played 7 days a week. Come to McCafferty's for the crack and stay for the experience. Check out McCafferty'sbars.com.
The Albert Bartlett on the Friday of Cheltenham, Friday the 13th, Barry. Always a very competitive race, but plenty in here with big chances.
Yeah, it's interesting, Dave. That's, 9 of the last 12 winners of the Bartlett itself are 14-1 or bigger. So can show up a bit of a result here, Dave, or turn up, should I say. And the favourite, if you're looking at favourites at the festival itself, and I know Niall agrees with me on this one, Dr. Steinberg was very keen at the Dublin Racing Festival, and I think he's a favourite that you could take on at the festival itself. Beyond I suppose if you were to ask me 5 favourites at the festival I'd like to take on, Dave, he certainly would be one of them. Espresso Milan, Paul Townend, do the right thing, choose to ride him, because I know Niall is a massive fan of this horse as well. Won at Thurles, stepping up in trip after that victory. Really impressive win, I thought, over the minimum distance at Punchestown. Not from 3 and bumpers last season for Fergal O'Brien, but if you look at this horse, I mean, the physical, he is going to be, next year he's going to be some horse over a fence, Dave, but he's a sort of a slow burner. And I just like the progression that he's shown this season over hurdles. Related to Bob Ollinger, has the pedigree. out of course, the 140 plus rated mare trained by Willie Mullins, Zuzka. So has the pedigree. I just think the new course, 3 miles, is going to really suit this horse. And be interested to see, look, who does take the ride. Is it going to be Danny Mullins? Will Paul Townend actually elect to ride Espresso Milan? It'll be interesting to see. He's 12-1 in the market at the moment, Dave. I just think a strong run race on the new course over 3 miles is exactly what this horse it wants. And I suppose if you look at some of the likely raced horses that have won this race for Willie Mullins in the past, Monkfish hadn't much racing heading to a Bartlett. The Nice Guy similar as well. So just because, if Townend doesn't pick Espresso Milan, don't let that put you off. We've seen some upsets in this race in the past, and second strings winning for Willie Mullins. I like this horse, like his profile, Niall. Have I left anything out, Niall?
No, I think you've got everything there, Barry. No, look, he's an impressive horse. I really, really like everything about him. He's a lovely profile. Staying chaser in the making is definitely going to be his forte. Impressive in Punchestown. I mean, that day it almost looked like he didn't know what he was doing, and the step up and trip then really suited him in Thurles. I just think he's going to keep improving. As you said, he's a bit of a slow burner. Just the way the race is shaping up, and the way that the Albert Bartlett kind of always shapes up as well, is you need a real stamina-hardened horse, and he looks like he is going to be that horse, a future Grand National type, I'd say, owned by Stuart Andrews, the owner of Nick Rocket. So, look, he buys them for one reason and one reason only. So, no, he just has a lovely profile, just coming into this, kind of sneaking into that race. And look, if we could have Paul Townend on board, it would be great. But if not, we'll have a more than capable jockey in the Mullins camp. No, I'd give a shout to Thedevilukno as well. I mean, his Gorn form is rock solid. I don't think the race ran to suit him the last day in Navan when he was second behind Dr. Steinberg. I think Dr. Steinberg, now we've seen that he kind of has one way of racing, and that's out in front and wants to dictate it. He didn't spit it out at all, though, in Leopardstown, which would be a concern for me. Like, you can't be that keen around Cheltenham compared to Leopardstown. So that would be my worry about him. I'd say he could go to the Turners, and that would be Paul Townend's ride in that race. But no, look, I've kind of been going on about Espresso Milan now for the last few months on Twitter and on the pod about a month ago. So I'm going to stick with him. There's a few fancy prices there that I've been taking. So look, as long as we can get there on the day and he can show his true running, I'd be delighted. No, he's a smashing horse for the future, and I no complaints about him anyways, and no complaints about his preparation. We've seen the Nice Guy, Monkfish. They went into it with hardly any racing as well. So he's fine for me.
Yeah, I've got to stick with the Thedevilukno, of course, with the Tipperary connection. This horse, would you believe, closed the butcher's shop in Emley in County Tipperary last time out. A big shout out to Andrew English down there, of course, first cousin to Nicky English. They're all involved in the Thedevilukno. And for that shop to be closed the last day, we all knew locally that we could get on at Doncaster for sure. And a massive shout out to the lads. They're all travelling over to Cheltenham, and let's hope the Thedevilukno will do them proud in the Albert Bartlett.
I'd say Quinlan's Dave won't be closed, will it, or shut up shop if that wins?
Well, I put it like this, Stu. If the Thedevilukno wins Quinlan's Bar in Cullen, I wouldn't say there'll be any closing hours whatsoever for a week, and we could have to make a little trip down there. It's going to be fantastic because great connection there, Quinlan's, and Nicky English, of course, a local man to Cullen in County Tipperary, and our hero growing up, and now with him going across to Cheltenham with the Thedevilukno, fingers crossed they get a great run. Right, we're going to head into our next ad break, and right after this we'll be announcing that winner to Cheltenham, and we'll also be taking a look and getting the lads' selections for the bumper and the Mayor's Novices at Cheltenham.
Now boarding the train of thought.
Calling out. Injury Lane.
He's 80% the best.
Statminster.
No, you asked.
Opinion Circus. Last Chance Cross. And Decision Time.
Back yourself. Boyle Sports.
Yes, and Boyle Sports now, non-runner, no bet on all 28 races at the festival. So if you have a selection that you want to back one in, go ahead and do it with Boyle Sports right now, as it will be money back there if it doesn't line up in the selected race. Right, Niall, going to come to you for a selection on the bumper and the Mayor's Novices. What do you like in these?
The bumper, I'm keen on keeping company. I spoke to Josh Williamson about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he said that it's the best bumper horse he's ever ridden, which is a fair knock of confidence. Gordon Elliott seems to like him as well. Just this kind of, once again, another slow burner, improving type. Probably surprised on debut when second or third favourite that day out of Elliott Trio, and he was really impressive. And then the last day in Leopardstown, I thought he put the race to bed quite easily. And it kind of looked for a while that he'd only win a length or so, and he kept pulling it out. So, look, if there's any bit of soft ground on the day in a champion bumper, I'd be a big fan of him. And he's a lovely price as well. Look, he's going to be a horse for the future, and a step up and triple suit him. But no, definitely out of the bumper horses and the bumper performances so far this season, he definitely caught my eye. And when someone like Josh, who's been as successful as he has in his short career so far, you kind of have to listen. Look, there's been plenty of talk about the Mullins horses in the bumper, the likes of Love Sign, Danu, R-Trigger, Quirin. So, look, there'll be stiff competition on the day, and it looks like it's going to be a great race. But, no, I'm happy to keep on side here with the Gordon Elliott Jigginsound horse, keeping company. I think he'll show his true running on the day.
Yeah, before we get your thoughts on the Mayor's Novices, Barry, is there anything that really stands out for you in this year's bumper? It looks open enough, does it? Yeah,
I actually thought that the horse to be with was the Morn Rambler. And he's currently priced up, Dave, at the Morn Rambler, currently priced up at 16-1. So I thought the form obviously took a little bit of a knock with Heldham not performing at Punchestown last time. But I think looking at the overall form, Premier Division, was placed at Leopardstown behind the Morn Rambler, and that had a big enough reputation as well. So I think the performance itself, he was backed like defeat was out of the question, wasn't he, for Noel Meade? And I think the little bit of nicer ground as well. He's a speedy enough type, and I just think he'll run well, but I think the nicer the ground, the better for the Morn Rambler. But he's won at 16-1. I just thought was maybe overlooked. The son of Well Chosen, owned by the Pollies, and I thought could give a good account. Our Trigger of the Mullins lot, I thought he was really good on yesterday's day. He'll get obviously the allowance as well, being a 4-year-old related to our brother to Gaelic Warrior. I thought he was good. I think it was interesting listening to Patrick Mullins mentioning that he thought maybe he was going to be more impressive than he was. But you must remember on yesterday's day, the ground, how it was. I just think there could be more to come from him. So Our Trigger and the Morn Rambler against the field for me, Dave, in the champion bumper. I thought he was really good, the Morn Rambler, by the way, at Christmas. He pulled quite hard early, and I thought he hit the line with a little bit up his sleeve, I thought. So more to come from him. In terms of that Mayor's Novice Hurdle, Dave, if you're looking at the last 7 years, Dave, we've had 5 on-place favourites. But I don't think that's going to be the case on this occasion. I think it's actually A versus B. I think the front two are a good bit clear. Bambino Fever, I was convinced after the Nace run that the next time these two mares meet, that Bambino Fever would reverse the form. I think that I'm going to stick with that. The drying ground will suit. I think the new course, she's obviously a point-to-point winner. She was so progressive last season, backed in the champion bumper. A lot of cash for her on that occasion. She was really good, and I thought her jumping performance last time, she obviously took a step forward. She was entitled to do so. She was long odds on to win, but I think there's more to come from her. Bambino Fever to reverse the form with an Old School Outlaw, who's an impressive mare to be fair in her own right, Dave. But I think the front two are a good bit clear there. Bambino Fever, one of the bankers of the week, I think, for Willie Mullins.
Niall?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. It looks like it's going to be a 2-horse race. Old School Outlaw has been improving, but look, I think the ceiling is a lot higher for Bambino Fever. 2 quality mares, but again, after that Nace race, all he thought was probably the Mullins horses weren't in the best of form. Look, she jumped well that day, and she went out to Ferryhouse, and although she might not have beaten a lot, she got her job done and did what she had to do. She's Cheltenham Festival winner already, and look, I think she's a proper quality mare, and is going to be around for a long time, hopefully. And as Barry kind of alluded to, if you were kind of having one of them bankers of the week already, I'd be firmly in her camp. Just once again, I don't think she's anywhere hitting near her ceiling yet. So I'd be with her, and I'd be quite confident on her as well.
Just to mention, Dave, on the Triumph Hurdle, Proactif is a horse I've a lot of regard for. At Ferryhouse, I thought got racing a long way out against the likes of Coombs, and when the field came back a little bit, or when it came back to the field. I was impressed with how this one kicked on again and saw it out nicely for a juvenile. It looks tough and hardy, and I think the new course will suit Pro Atif. Obviously, with Narciso Has coming out, I think no bad substitute for Woody Mullins and JP McManus. Pro Atif, I think it's going to take a lot of stopping, I think, on the drive. I think made for the new course. And as I said, I was quite impressed with how this horse picked up again and stuck at it well at Fairyhouse, where Coombs fell out the back of the television.
Well, the atmosphere, the build-up, it continues as we continue, of course, with the Cheltenham. And, of course, Barry, your latest road to Cheltenham with Emmett Kennedy is out there as well for viewers to have a look at. Another great show. But before we finish up, it is now time, Barry, to announce that lucky winner of that trip to Cheltenham on Gold Cup Day. Who is our lucky winner?
Can I just say first and foremost, Dave, a massive thank you to Midland Travel for putting up the prize, Stephen and all the team there. But the interest we've had in this competition right throughout the season has been tremendous. So thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I mean, if you haven't done so already, now's the time to do so. Lots more content coming up. Building up to the Cheltenham Festival itself. But as I said, thank you to everyone who's entered. The QR code up on screens. We're going to have more competitions, by the way. I think Stephen and the team might be putting another competition up very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. Well, shortlisted 5, as we said earlier on the show. Fintan Finnegan from Galway, representing Connacht. Josh Myton from Wexford, representing Leinster. Pádraig Kelly from Onascal, County Kerry, you're in the draw as well. Tiernan Donoghue from County Tyrone, and Richard Hallahan is in the draw as well from County Cork. And the winner is, Dave, we're going to send someone from County Galway. Fintan Finnegan, you're on the way to Cheltenham. Big thank you to Stephen and all the team for putting forward the prize. But Fintan Finnegan, Dave, he's going to be one happy man.
He certainly is, Fintan, and many congratulations to you. Brilliant that you're on your way to Cheltenham for Gold Cup Day. Well, that brings us to the end of another Champ.ie Horse Racing podcast. A massive thank you to Barry, as always, and to Niall Tierney from IrishRacing.com. And we'll be back with you next week again to look at some of the big handicaps at the Cheltenham Festival. Hopefully, you have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
From Dundalk to Longchamp, from the Galway Races to the Breeders' Cup, Shamrock Thoroughbreds recently celebrated their 100th winner, and Ireland's leading racehorse syndicate has taken owners all over the world. Shamrock Thoroughbreds founder Stephen Thorne remarkably won the Winter Trainers' Championship at Dundalk during his first season as a racehorse trainer. To experience success with Shamrock Thoroughbreds and Stephen Thorne Racing, check out shamrockthoroughbreds.com.